It's time for the weekly gaming news roundup video with info you care about. Thanks for joining. I was, by the way, able to secure the Spider-Man 2 Collector's Edition. Hope everyone who wanted one got one as well. So I got news on some big upcoming open world games, Xbox, PlayStation news, why you should play the Final Fantasy 16 demo, and way more. Let's start with Cyberpunk, that of course revealed at Summer Game Fest that the first and final expansion, Phantom Liberty, is coming September 27th. The DLC is described as a spy thriller where we have to go save the president, and we do that with super spy Solomon Reed, played by Idris Elba. Johnny Silverhand of course plays a big role as well. We should learn way more about his backstory while we explore a brand new region of Night City called Dogtown. And we actually got some gameplay of the new Black Market area during the Xbox Extended Showcase. Lots of people on the street, NPCs doing some crazy tricks. We should be able to buy the most powerful items in the world in this area, but these items also have dangerous uses, so likely some risk-reward going on. And this place being guarded by different authorities that are more dangerous than the regular police, the NCPD. So yeah, the DLC looks very promising. A lot of people who played it already are very positive, but the biggest news is that a lot of gameplay systems from the base game will be improved, including the police system, and that this will be added to the base game for free. You of course still have to pay $30 to play through the new story content and see the new map, but a lot of the system changes and improvements should be free. So we don't have footage of this yet, but for the police, for example, they should now search the area if you commit a crime and engage if they see you, with them becoming more aggressive and deploying special max tag units if you commit many crimes after each other. And the police will also show up more quickly at wealthy locations like Corpo Plaza. The cybernetics will be linked to your cyberware now instead of your gear, and if you install too many of them, then you will get debuffs. The skill tree will feature more abilities and perks that have a bigger impact on the combat instead of all the passive skills. You can now aim your gun and fire outside of a vehicle window and wield a melee weapon on your motorcycle. Again, these changes should come for free to the base game as well. Imagine if they launched Cyberpunk like this. There will also be new endings, like a ton. I will totally be jumping back in on September 27th. Let me know if you will do too in the comments down below, and we will totally cover the new update and DLC here on the channel. Now beyond that, we got Dragon's Dogma 2. We already saw the reveal trailer a little while ago at the PlayStation Showcase, but now we got new gameplay during Capcom's own showcase, really focused on the pawn system. So Dragon's Dogma 2 is of course an open world, single player RPG, but just like the first game, you also have these companions. So you got your main character, your main pawn that you can also customize, and you can also recruit 2 extra pawns from other players online, so they can run around in a party of 4. Like, you can of course choose what type of character your main character will be, like will you do melee, magic, ranged, but with this pawn system you can then also make a full team with different playstyles, and these pawns will now also help you find new locations in the world, which kinda cool, and you can do a high five with them after battle. Like, it's kind of a social experience while still being a single player game. The open world is 4 times the size of the original Dragon's Dogma. I think it overall looks great, so we don't have a release date yet, but I'm expecting it to be in early 2024 myself. An open world game that is still coming this year, August 10th actually, so very close, is Atlas Fallen from Focus. We got a new trailer this week. Gliding through the sand still looks great. You can play the game solo or with a friend in co-op. And then I also revealed a lot of customization where you can pick out of 100 plus passive bonuses to increase the power of certain attacks. Like, this can really help you divine a certain playstyle to fight the large creatures. I hope this one turns out great, but first we got Final Fantasy 16. Again, I want to touch on the demo and some exciting new features that they announced. If you like the video so far, then totally leave a like, of course. That would really show your support. And I post a new news roundup video like this every Sunday, so subscribe to not miss it. First, I want to touch on some other big games that we saw during Summer Game Fest. Like, we learned a bit more about Avowed. That did not wow me with their trailer. Like, I'm kind of missing the original style or unique elements, but I'm still curious to check it out. They now, for example, talked about the depth of each familiar playstyle, so sword fighting, magic, and ranged. Like, builds are going to be quite important, and upgrades can let you dual wield guns, for example. There are going to be companions, with Kai that we saw in the trailer being one of them. It's also one of the first characters you meet, and this game is also more comparable in size to Outer Worlds than Elder Scrolls, with the game not being fully open world, but having interconnected open zones. kind of similar to Dead Island 2 recently, for example. And I think that's completely fine. Like, it's a nice change of pace versus the other massive open worlds that we can of course explore. So I don't think I would have checked out Avowed if it wasn't launching on Game Pass, but it of course is next year, so I will totally give it a shot. I'm more hyped for Fable, like that will be day one even if it wasn't on Game Pass, and the footage we saw was actually captured on Xbox Series X, which kinda wild as it looked really good. Especially that short bit of combat, like I wish we got more of that. And now we will likely have to wait a full year to get another look at the game. I hope it's 2025, but without them giving any indication this year, I'm worried that it might take longer. And Xbox now, by the way, said that 4-6 years is a normal development cycle for big games these days, something we've already seen with a ton of recent releases. There are still exceptions though, like Jedi Survivor, Assassin's Creed Mirage, which of course is a smaller game. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes to mind, like that will be less than 4 years if it indeed launches in that early 2024 window, but there are probably more titles, but overall, like, it's pretty standard now. But if games don't get announced too far in advance, then it's usually not that big of an issue. Although it does make waiting for a sequel in your favorite franchise harder. Like Ghost of Tsushima 2 might be 2025, while the first game, of course, launched in 2020, which is kind of wild to think about. Speaking of Ghost, the game had the highest number of gameplay hours as a PlayStation Plus extra title since the launch of the new tiers. So lots of people are checking the game out and are actually playing it for a long time as well, which is good news. And Sony is working on bringing streaming for PS5 games to the highest PlayStation Plus tier, so then you don't have to download the game to play them. And you would hope that this then also means that you can stream these games to the upcoming Q-Lite cloud device, right? Instead of only being able to use it through remote play. I quickly want to touch on this as well. Dead Island 2 is getting 2 expansions that sound and look pretty cool in the image, with the first one coming at the end of the year, described as a techno death cult. And the second expansion takes place at a Solar festival where people used to rave and support the planet. The locations in Dead Island 2 were totally the highlight for me, and these could also be very stylish. So I think I will be jumping back in, as Dead Island 2 is totally one of my favorite games of the year so far. And I totally think that Final Fantasy 16 will get a spot on that list as well if they keep the quality up from the demo. Like, damn, this is way more mature, Game of Thrones-y than I thought. The production value is insane. These are some of the best looking cutscenes you'll ever see. It's like watching a movie. My jaw was like hitting the floor multiple times. It was like really insane. If you got a PS5, totally download the 2-hour demo. Your progress will also carry over to the full game on June 22nd. The combat feels pretty great as well, and you don't have a lot of options like early on, but you could still like do some cool combos. But there's also a mission that you can try that is a bit later on in the game during the demo, where you can already like play with more powers. So get a feel for what the combat will be like a little later. So again, set aside 2 hours to check it, even if you never played a Final Fantasy game before. Like, if you like action RPGs, this will probably be for you. And next to the story campaign and the side missions, etc., there will also be a ton of features at launch, including New Game Plus that IGN was able to reveal. So apart from it, of course, allowing you to take all your progress and start a new playthrough, they will also make combat encounters different by changing up the enemies. So in your first playthrough, you will be fighting these small insects, for example, but in your second playthrough in New Game Plus, these become raptors, so are a bit harder to take out. Or they changed these axe-wielding enemies for an iron giant in New Game Plus. Like, I really like it when developers put a ton of effort in the New Game Plus modes. Other like bosses will be switched around as well. You can upgrade your weapons by 3 extra tiers, so go to 6 instead of 3. And the game's arcade mode, that is already accessible in the regular playthrough as well, where you can replay stages for a score, has a leaderboard in New Game Plus, so they can compete against other players from around the world. I really can't wait to dive into the full release, and the channel will mostly be focused on Final Fantasy 16 this coming week and beyond, so expect spoiler-free tips and tricks here on the channel. Should be a ton of fun, and of course a new gaming news roundup video will be here just like every Sunday, so subscribe to not miss it. A like on the video would really help me out, and if you haven't watched my previous Sunday video yet about the big reveals I liked at Summer Game Fest, totally check that out with timestamps in the video bar so you can like skip to the games that you're curious about. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.